is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Schola in the Narrowgate Security Agency studios.
I love Alaska. This is my home. I understand the uniqueness of this land. It's about family, it's community. That's what the Alaskan spirit is, and we're proud of it.
Few people know Sarah Palin better than today's special guest. Governor Palin's best friend, successful Alaska businesswoman Kristan Cole is here. The two have been buds since childhood. And earlier this year, Palin officiated Cole's wedding. Stay tuned for our talk with Kristan Cole on Mama Grizzly Radio. As the Trump train rolls on, we get an on-the-ground report from Mama Grizzly Radio correspondent Dina Miller. Sarah Palin and family see Todd Palin off on another Iron Dog adventure. Palin weighs in after Donald Trump wins Nevada. A brand new installment of Liberty and Legacy with Tamara Colbert is on the way from Texas. And just ahead, our latest edition of Steel Resolve with Sarah Steelman in Missouri. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. The Palin Update is sponsored by Narrowgate Security Agency. Learn more at narrowgate.com. We know her as the governor and Mama Grizzly. Today's guest just calls her Sarah. Kristan Cole and Sarah Palin have been best friends since they were kids, and today we're so happy to hear from Kristan in Alaska. And right now we welcome Kristan Cole to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Kristan, welcome to the program.
Oh, thanks for having me. Sorry it's taken us so long to get together. Totally my fault, but thrilled to be here.
I know, we didn't give up on you. You know, we've had all the presidential candidates and Governor Palin, of course, and finally we landed Kristan Cole here on the program, and you are a longtime friend of Governor Palin. Let's tell listeners who may not know, or those who do want to hear it again, how long have you known the governor, and how special is your relationship?
Well, she and I have known each other for about 45 years, and the first time we met, we were coming out of school, elementary school, and the school actually ended up being now what is City Hall. And she and I were holding hands and became friends and have been friends ever since. And we've shared a lot of heartache together. We've shared a lot of joy together. And just most recently, as you know, January 23rd, she married me and my husband.
That is amazing, right? For anyone to say, oh, who officiated your wedding? Oh, Sarah Palin. I mean, for you, it's probably...
Yeah, just Sarah.
For you, yes, with Sarah, right. So what were you, 6, 7 years old when you first met?
I think I was 8 because I was 8 because I was going into the 4th grade and she was going into the 2nd grade.
Now, this wedding situation made some headlines. You getting married recently this year, and Governor Palin officiating. How did you come about that? How did you ask her about that, and where did that idea come from? It looked like everything worked out very well.
Well, you know, she and I think, trust each other a lot, and I texted her and I said, you know, there's nobody I trust more than you, and I know you're busy, but if you have any time at all, would you do me the honor of officiating my husband and my wedding. And Denny had met her several times when we were in Alaska, and she said, oh my gosh, you know, of course it'd be my honor. And the reason, you know, most people are like, really, you got married in January in Alaska? And the truth is, that's what fit both of our schedules. And I think the thing that I love the most is when she had Piper, Judy Patrick and myself had a baby shower for her at Grouse Ridge hunting shooting range. And it's not just, I mean, it's very, very lovely. And that's where we got married. And so there we were 15 years later, and she married us there at Grouse Ridge.
And your husband had the greatest line of all, saying it was a shotgun wedding, quote unquote.
He did. He thought he was pretty darn funny. But I'll tell you this, what was great about Sarah is when she started the wedding, she said, let me just tell you one thing before we start, Denny. Us Alaskan chicks stick together. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That's the warning shot there. Okay, well, we know this is going to go very well then.
Well, and then she started telling stories about me and her growing up, et cetera. And she said, okay, well, let's talk about Denny for a second. And then she looked at Denny and she goes, nah, let's go back to Kristan.
Oh, that's great. Well, we would like to hear some of those stories. I know that. And, you know, you made national news or prominence when you appeared in The Undefeated, the great Stephen K. Bannon movie profiling the real Sarah Palin, especially after all the media attacks against her and her family. And I got to tell you, you had some huge, already known names in that movie, whether it be Tammy Bruce or Andrew Breitbart and a lot of others. But, in a lot of ways, you were really one of the top people in that movie because you were able to paint that great picture of her remarkable character. I mean, it's one thing for people to talk about her who admire her, or people who supported her for governor or vice president, or people that don't know her and, say, oh, I like where she stands on issues. But, I mean, like you said, walking out of that school together, you've known each other for so long, for decades, and you really were able to let people know the true character of Sarah Palin and how she is, on the inside and from the heart.
Oh, so very true. I mean, we've just been through so much together. We both have 5 children, and she has a special needs son. I have a special needs son. And, just through all the incredible successes that our families have had and also the tragedies. And I think that the one thing that I can tell you about Sarah is when you have, stood alongside her, through thick and thin, you really get to know a person's character. There's just no question about it. And what I can tell people that probably are listening and already know this to be true, but I can just tell you I've experienced it for a lifetime, is that she is just one of the finest people I know, with one of the greatest hearts and one of the most dedicated hearts, I would say, to really wanting the very, very best for people. And anytime you meet her, the very first thing she's going to do is want to know about you, and she never, ever is one to talk about herself.
We talked to her family about this and to her about this, but certainly to her dad and her brother Chuck and to Todd and to Bristol as well about how the attacks on her over the years have not only affected her, but she seems to, be so tough as nails and come out of it. But if family members really get affected, and you are really a family member, being her best friend, what did that do for you when you saw it still goes on, all of these crazy comments and attacks at her from both sides? Does that just make you fume?
It does, and she and I don't know how much this was ever aired, but she and I actually ended up in court because of a stalker who was stalking Sarah, and of course, me and my family as well, only because of my affiliation with Sarah. And just the extent that we had to go to protect our families. And I want to do a huge shout out to the Westilla Police Department, who helped us a great deal through that whole endeavor. But it really, I don't think anybody has any idea the attacks that she and her family have been through just because she wanted to stand up and do the right thing for our country. And I wish everyone had the opportunity to know her like I do, because they would just truly be indebted to her for what she's done.
Yeah, it really does boggle the mind. I mean, if you disagree on an issue, that's fine, but the actual attacks that have come after her personally, and the joy that people find in when there's a perceived negative around her, the family, it's just it's sickening. But it's amazing how she still smiles and is such a huge prominent figure. She could have hid out after the whole vice presidential race, and she's done quite the contrary. And I know when you were little kids, obviously you didn't think of things like this, but when you moved forward in your lives and were still friends, say high school and older, could you ever have imagined the path she'd go down? I mean, was government and was politics something you thought of? I mean, because, basketball and outdoors and things like that were the things when you were kids, right?
True. What's interesting is she really chose a path of public life, and I really chose a path of business, private life. But what was interesting is, especially when she was mayor, we would meet over in the Westilla Park. There's a picnic table there, and we would meet for lunch with our friend Judy Patrick, and just talk about the issues that the 3 of us, were facing as women, really trying to push forward, and her in the political world, in the public life, me in private life and business, and Judy as well. And we were really a pretty strong resource for one another. And no, at that time, I don't think any of us had any idea where it was all headed. But what I can say is that we were very, very supportive of one another. And I remember when she first ran for governor, everyone called her the dark horse. And at that time, I had been chief of staff for Senator Lauren Lehman, who actually ran against her for lieutenant governor. And I remember, it was a very difficult time because I I had to go to my boss and say, I need to resign and support my friend because she's been my friend my entire life, and I believe in her and want to support her. And at that time, she was such a dark horse. I think people thought that's just the silliest thing I've ever heard. And while she didn't win then, when she came back and ran then as governor against two previous governors, again, she was the dark horse. But I think that the thing that brought everyone together and the reason she won is because she does have the ability, like no one I've ever met, to really cross party lines, cross political lines, cross, religious beliefs and bring people together. And it was interesting to me why why she was attacked so much once she ran for vice president. I think a lot of it was fear-based, but I can just tell you, the country missed an incredible leader with her and Senator McCain not being elected for president and vice president.
Governor Palin's really a unique person from the standpoint of, since that run for vice president, she has not run for office. She has not held office, yet she's been so powerful with endorsements, with her mastery of social media, with her books, her public speaking. What have you made of all that, her endorsement of Donald Trump, and how huge of a figure she's become?
I guess I would say the thing that I'm most happy about is that regardless of that, her and I, and people say, when you guys talk, what do you talk about? And it's almost always about our kids, truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were sitting at dinner at our wedding, she said, you know what? The one thing I love about you is that you have always been able to do whatever it took to help us, but you and your family have never asked me for a thing. And she said, I can count on one hand how many people that I have been friends with over the years that didn't try to use my political gain or my where I have gained in popularity, et cetera, for their own financial gain, which is just baffling to me. But what I would say is, when I watch her, it doesn't surprise me that she continues to be popular and has done as well as she is without holding public office, because who she is as a person and what she wants to do for this country and what she feels compelled to do, regardless of whether it's in the political arena or from the sidelines or from giving speeches or endorsements, that is who she is. That truly is who she is. She believes absolutely she's doing what she's supposed to be doing, and that makes it really easy to want to help her.